In this lesson, I'll show you 3 examples on how to find the perimeter of plane figures. Remember what perimeter is. It is the distance around a 2-dimensional shape. And it's usually easy to calculate if you're given all the side lengths to begin with. Let's see if that applies here. The question reads, determine the perimeter of each figure and round to the nearest tenth where appropriate. Starting with question A, we have a 4-sided shape known as a quadrilateral, and you also have these arrows shown here. So we have a single arrow here and a single arrow here, and 2 arrows on both of those lines. That suggests that these lines are parallel. If you have 2 sets of parallel lines in a 4-sided shape, that means that not only is this 8.1, but this is also 8.1. Let me indicate that. 8.1, and this side has to be 12.4. Finding the perimeter can be summed up with this equation. 8.1 plus 8.1 plus 12.4 plus 12.4. Notice that I'm adding up all of the side lengths. Now, some teachers might expect you to write this as 2 times 8.1 plus 2 times 12.4. Whichever way that you choose to write this, the answer is the same. So let's go ahead and calculate this. 2 times 8.1 plus 2 times 12.4, and that gives us 41 centimeters. Taking into account significant figures, it would have to be 41.0. Depending on the level that you're learning, you might not know about significant figures, so it really depends on what your teacher expects. In our next example, we have a circle. The perimeter of a circle is called circumference, and there are 2 formulas that you can use. You can either use 2 pi r, where pi represents approximately 3.14159, and r represents the radius, which is the distance from the center to any point along the circle. Or you can use this formula, where once again you have pi times the diameter. The diameter is the distance across the circle passing through the center. In this example, they've given us the radius, so I'll use this formula. I'll write down c is equal to 2 times pi times our radius, which is 7.4. Let's use our calculator. My calculator has a button designated for pi, but if your calculator doesn't, you can just type in 3.14159. So for me, I'll type in multiply, shift, then this button, times 7.4. And of course, if you use pi, it's always more accurate. I end up with 46.49, and if we want to round this to 1 decimal place, we can say 46.5. That's the answer to question B. Finally, in question C, we have a right triangle, which means that one of the angles in this triangle is 90 degrees, shown right here. We've been given this side and this length. These double apostrophes means inches. If it were a single apostrophe, it's feet. However, we haven't been given the longest side. To find this longest side, we have to use the Pythagorean theorem. Here's the Pythagorean theorem. It relates the length of all 3 sides. In a nutshell, the longest side is called C. We're not told what the longest side is. The other 2 shorter sides, called the legs, can be assigned as A or B. So I'm going to substitute these numbers into here, and remember our formula for perimeter is the distance around the shape. So we have 8 plus 11 plus this unknown length, which I'm going to call C. So as I mentioned, I'll assign this A as 8 squared plus 11 as B, and the longest side, C, is unknown. Let's use our calculator. 8 raised to the power of 2 plus 11 raised to the power of 2, that's 185, is equal to C squared. And to isolate for this C, we need to get rid of this squared, so we square root both sides. By square rooting both sides, the square and the square root get eliminated, leaving us with C is equal to the square root of 185 is 13.6. 13.6 inches. I'll take this number now, place it right into where I see the C. So I'll add 8 plus 11, and my perimeter is approximately 32.6. 32.6 inches. So there you have it. 3 examples on how to find the perimeter of plane figures.